Welcome back to the coffee break. We're going on to Module 2 at this moment, and we're going to look at life cycle of common projects. The reason of common projects is because there are many types of projects, right? So we will see the most common situation. And in this particular module, we are looking at in this particular module, we're looking at an example that we will follow up from the earlier module that we had earlier on. So earlier on, we had a look at an idea of what's a project, what's a management like. We also had a look at the term TCQ, where every project manager, the basic that they should be able to differentiate, and then as I was mentioning, they will normally pick two, which is the important ones, and sacrifice the third. Yeah. Then we also had a look at management, where we have a term known as the SMART. Following all of that, it gives us an idea of how we work with projects. We have also gone through two basic examples. One was the bank teller, where his work as a bank teller at the front to receive questions, to receive applications, is considered as his daily task. It is not a project. Whereas when they were given new software, where the task was to get everybody to start using the new software, we know that it becomes a project because we can apply the SMART to it. Yeah, so the time, for example, the relevance and time is, we want to know that everyone starts using the new software by Monday. You know, everybody, then the old system will stop moving it. What was S? Anybody can remember what's S in the SMART? What was S? Very good, right? So that was basically how we all look at projects. Now, we've seen the recap of that. The second example we had to look at was the paintwork in our house. If you recall, the paintwork was a simple task, but there were some things that we were very careful about it. Okay, so example of the task that we did for the paintwork was to be able to determine that we want to paint the room, only the room. We were deciding that we're not going to paint the ceiling, we're not going to paint outside, and we also decided that there was a particular benefit in the sense that we're going to have a new nice looking room by Chinese New Year. Okay, and that was what we know that we can achieve. Okay, and there was also a risk that was there. Why? Because we're saying that it's now COVID season, or COVID is being reported prevalently. The painter could contract COVID positive. Are we willing to take the risk? If he is, then what is going to happen? Yeah. And other things is, for example, we run out of paint doing the paint work. Can we get the same tone of paint again for our room? Yeah, so those are things that we look at. So that gave us an overview and idea of project management. Now, since we know what's a project management, our next area that we will be looking at is something called life cycle of common projects. Life cycle is typically how we start and end a set of activities. So sometimes when we simply do things, we just go there, do things without thinking about it. We don't really have a cycle. Why? Because we do it how we feel like doing it. We don't want people to control us, we don't want to worry about budgets and all that. So that will not have a life cycle. Yeah? That one means that anytime we go start something, then maybe go backwards again and start, go back and forth again and start and end. Right? So that one normally typically no life cycle. Now, life cycle is normally used in an area where we have an established set of activities. Everybody has agreed, it's been practiced throughout the years, and many of the popular activities for project have been carried out successfully. So then they decided to say, okay, since this is how it works, all those famous project managers, all those famous psychologists, all those famous business teachers, okay, top managers, they came up with this set of activities and place it into the project life cycle, which means that how we start and how we end, and what are the things in between. That is known as a life cycle, right? Life, something start, something end. In this module 2, we look at the concept when people start thinking of an idea or the project. We call it the initiation. Then people lay it out. Lay it out means to say exactly what are we going to do. It becomes a plan. Next, we have to look at collaborating and communicating. So this is when we do execution. Execution means we take the plan and we start doing things to it so that we do the activities. We need to communicate and collaborate. Then, leading the way out. How do we finalize the project to end it up, to say that's it, finished. We don't need to worry about this anymore. We are done. Yeah, so that's how we call the life cycle of common projects, of projects. These are the 4 things that we will look at in this module. Right. Now, okay, so we got this portion here done. Let's have the next step. Think of an idea. So, this is a short description of how a group of people, in this case here is a team, right, from different departments, they have gone through a discussion and they saw that, hey, look, our company's profit, you see the arrows coming here, it means that our profits are dropping. They were concerned about that. Profits dropping is one problem. Then next thing is that their sales is also dropping. Their sales is dropping in the sense that this is all from their statistics. So the different department heads are meeting, right? And the boss, okay, the head, says that what if we don't change at all and something magical just happens? That is one way many companies address all these problems here. Don't change. We're just hoping things will fix by itself. No project is going to happen okay. When the other managers feel that we need to do something, right, to solve or to counter all this fall in profits, fall in sales, then everyone will be able to make a decision. They want to do something about it, then it's called initiation. If you decide don't do anything at all, there's no initiation at all. So, what are the things here that we see in the example there? Where these people identify a set of objectives and needs. If we have identified that we want to do certain specific things, then we know we have started the initiation phase. Okay, example back again. The room that we were deciding on painting. Why? What happened? I decided that I want to have a nice room by Chinese New Year because my relatives are coming in and they want to be able to stay overnight and would like to have that room nicely set up for them. Yeah, I was thinking about many things here and there, so I identified the objective and needs. My relative is coming, the place is supposed to be nice, maybe I want to fix aircon, right, to make it more comfortable for them to stay in, clean up the place. That was the objective for the relative to come in. Then I did a feasibility study. This is very common thing. Excuse me. So feasibility study typically means that should this project proceed or not. I go down, I calculate, okay, this plane, this one, I need this, I need that, cost of the aircon, right? Whether I will be free, whether somebody can do this work, right? So that's the feasibility study. I'm studying, see whether okay or not. I do a comparative chart. Okay, the pros and cons. Most people use the pros and cons. And if you have seen the SWOT, some people actually prepare something called the SWOT table. Right? SWOT. So organizations very commonly use the SWOT to determine or to assist them in their feasibility study. Okay, coming back here to our paint job here. So the paint, we decided that, oh look, after calculating this, I don't have enough money for the aircon. And the aircon requires me to break the holes in the walls and all that. I have to go and apply things to the management and all that. Aircon's out of the project. Yeah. So buying new furnitures here and there, also out of the project because no budget for that. The only thing left was I can do the painting of the whole room to make it look nice. That's it. Then assign core team and project manager. This is all part of initiation. Assign core team typically means that I decided that who will be involved in the painting. So in this case here, I myself decides that I will be the project manager because I want to do it. Okay, because I'm free. But in the cases where for organizations, myself, I may have decided about it, I might not be the one doing the project management. Example is, I might not be free. So I have to nominate my sister who's in the house every day, not doing anything at all. So what you do here is, after you become project manager, you have to do those things all. I can say that my sister is able to do this project management job. Why? Because I went back and checked and see what is the project management skill required. Do you remember what's the project management skills that was required previously, as I mentioned? Yes. Go back because I know my sister, what she had time management skills. I know she was very good at managing her time. What else? What other type of skill that my sister had? She's very good at communicating with people. Right? She just talks and talks and talks and talks with people. People don't want to listen, also she will just talk and talk and talk with them. Right? Anything, she's very good at communicating her ideas to people and trying to get people to do things that she wants. Right, so I know my sister has all the skills as a project manager, so that's why I'm saying she will be it. Then I have to decide the core team. Why? Because I also need to know who will be doing all these paintings, who will be helping to move out the furniture. So I decided that, oh, I know this Jack downstairs at the paint shop nearby here. Not paint shop, he's the handyman, he can do all this paint work. So I will assign him to also work with my sister. So Jack will be helping my sister to do all these paintings out. So I decide who are the core team members and they will do the work. So next portion here is identify major deliverables. Then I will work with this project manager and the core team and say, I want to have a set of deliverables. So what's the deliverable involved? I just tell them. Okay, for example, if I'm not sure about what to say, I have to tell them at the end of the project what is expected. Again, we go back to the SMART. Okay. So one of the things that is in there, I will tell them, the specific thing that I want them to do is the room must look beautiful with this shape of color, with this design, and the pictures all drawn up there, and the furnitures all placed back in the room. Yeah. By when? Before Chinese New Year. So that would be the major deliverables. So the reason why you see the word major deliverables is in between I may have small set of deliverables. For example, I may have to work with them to tell them, hey, I want a feature wall. Everybody was looking at me and saying, feature wall, what's that? So I have to explain to them what's the idea of feature wall, where is it, and how is it going to look like and all that. So that might be a minor deliverable in between the two. So they need to set up that. Other than that, another deliverable is maybe they have to paste all the stickers everywhere so that all my glass pieces all do not get painted on. Okay, so that's one of the areas there. So this is the initiation phase. Without this, and very common when projects want to start, if we go through all this, we find that, oh, we don't have anyone to do it. Cancel. Visibility. Project here, look. Cannot be done. Why? Because TCQ. We don't have the time, we don't have the cost, and we don't have the quality things that we need. Cancel. Okay, so it is possible, initiation phase, we even cancel projects. Very common. Okay, now, so this is how we start the project life cycle. It's just the beginning phase. And all of this requires you to have, for companies, the documentations. For example, feasibility study, you may have to have the document to say what studies have you done, what's the report, what's the cost. Above here, you may need to have something called the PIN. PIN is known as Project Initiation Note. Somebody to say that we want to start initiating this project. In companies, normally it's through a meeting. They agree, oh, we want to implement a new software for our bank tellers. Means what? They have decided on that, they recorded it down the meeting minutes. Somebody will create something called a PIN, Project Initiation Note. They will say, oh, who says that they want this one? What are the major deliverables? Okay, who is going to be the project manager? Who's the core team? They will mention all that inside the PIN, Project Initiation Note. Because that's the official document, then they will send to the management. The management is the one that will sign that to say, yes, we start. And yes, they agree that he will be project manager, he will be the core team. Right, so that's how they start the project. Okay. Any questions about this portion here? Let me check the time. Okay, no questions. Right now, once we have this, right, either in our example, the painting the room, or company wants to implement new software, and everything has been agreed, and we know that the project will start. So the project initiation note is provided or produced. Then we go on to the next phase. Laying it out or planning. Now, when we have a look at the example of our icebreaker, okay, Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill did not plan at all any of these things here. Okay. Now, the other people, the father and the mother, they were the one who were planning for all these activities to happen. So they came up with, to say that yes, we wanted to have something. We wanted to get water from the well. The well must be specifically from up the hill. So the father has decided on that. Then father and mother has planned it out with Jack and Jill, what they need to bring, provided them with the buckets, the strings and all that, the ropes. Yeah. So all those things are the initiation phase, and they managed to convince Jack and Jill, yes, it's freezing in the winter here, in the cold weather. Yes, you have to go up the hill, put you all the proper clothing and all that. and you'll be pulling up all those things. They will have to lay out the plan to Jack and Jill. Okay, now because of that, the planning phase, we start looking at specific tasks. What are the tasks? Tasks basically means a set of activities that we want to perform, and the resource requirements. Resource requirement can be people, can be the time, can be skills, can be materials. Okay, so we identify all those things first. Then we also have to create a project timeline to say, oh, by when must this be done? And when we have all this, then we can determine an estimation of the actual cost, and somebody have to document the plan. Coming back to our example of the bank teller, they were informed that they want to implement a new software in the organization. They have gone to the head bank teller to tell them, okay, we're going to do this. The management will have to work out on the tasks involved. For example, the new software must be available to everyone. Who is going to do the training to them? And when we do the training, what document or data is going to be used, and who will be involved in the training, which staff is involved in training. So this one is just one document itself. They will prepare one document itself to say that resources allocated. It's one document. So somebody must be able to write out all these things here. With that, then somebody will tell you, okay, they will tell us here within the next 1 week, we have a project timeline. Example, they have to mention, prepare the software, prepare the training material, print training notes, arrange for the trainer, arrange the room or time. Right? So all those things we have to place inside the project timeline. This project timeline, very commonly we have tools for it. One of the common tools that we use is the Gantt chart. Gantt chart, we have many ways of creating the Gantt chart. Gantt chart is basically a chart where it provides you a list of tasks and the times to start and time to end. That's the Gantt chart. Okay. Other ways of doing it, some people they will use something called a PERT chart, P-E-R-T. PERT chart is mainly used to determine resources. Yes, because remember the bank tellers, they have a day-to-day job, right? They have a particular job that they have to do. So PERT chart will be able to say, okay, this person with what skill do what, when. Yeah, so that's one of the things. Then you may have to have estimate of the cost. Estimate the cost, typically in that case then, you may have to see the cost monetarily. You may want to spend for your tea time, for them, for the training. Or they may be doing the training at night, so you may be providing them dinner. If you're doing the training in a hotel, for example, then you may need to have to book a hotel. So the cost is there. Secondly, the cost in the sense of time. You may also have to worry about when are we going to get these things all done. That means that they have to arrange everybody, say, oh, after work, you all must go for training. After work, yeah? So those are the costs. And we may have to spend extra on the software. Why? The training consultants who are providing the software need to be able to provide the training, so we need to include that in the cost. And of course, the most important thing is documenting the plan. Normally, project manager is in charge of documenting the plan. Documenting the plan would include information of the project tasks, resources, the timeline, and the cost. All these things is part of the plan. Then once he has a plan, he will also create a file that will have the previous information, where in the previous information, as you can see, it was the initiation. You also put in all the project initiation information in the document together, so that it's easier for everyone. Right? Right. So this is part of laying out the plan. Any questions about this? No. Okay, now let's go to the example of the painting of the room. Okay, the planning portion here. So when I have decided that I want the room to be painted, I have to see based on, I've already decided that I cannot afford the aircon, I cannot afford new furniture and all that, so it's left with painting the room. What I'm going to do here is to say that, okay, the tasks involved clearing the place, taping all the things which shouldn't be painted, right? Buying the paint, booking the painter's time, and if I need to have permit to do the painting from the building management, I have to apply for that. All this will be part of my task. Then the resources here, typically, I'm getting my sister to help me to manage it. So those are the things. Create a project timeline. This is the skill that the project manager needs to do. She needs to see how to break that up so that we can get it done before Chinese New Year. Okay, now this is why we say that project manager need to be able to speak to the or collaborate with the people. Why? Because he needs to speak to the painter. Painter, when are you free? He needs to go to find to the paint shop. When can I get this specific color? Yeah, and how long will these things all get done? So at the end of the day, he also needs to make the estimate of the cost. Once he has the estimate of the cost, he must make sure that he got the budget for it, so that he can do all these things on. Maybe today he doesn't have the budget, he may have to actually go and extend it. Maybe this month I don't have enough money, I have to wait for next month for the next set of purchase. Right, so that's part of budgeting. Excuse me. Okay, so this is planning. Any questions about this part here? We're done with planning. Okay, we go to the next part first, then we see where else is there that you can apply skills as a project manager. Now, another area that the project managers need to be experienced in is known as the execute. Okay, execute in the life cycle typically means that you need to be able to start doing the work. It's not all just planning. Now you start doing the work. So this is known as the execute. If you see from here, this example here, everybody needs to communicate with each other to get the job done properly. Example, if we go back to the case about the painter, if the painter is actually catching COVID, not able to come, and they don't tell us, the project manager will be sitting in the house, waiting and waiting. So if he's waiting, the painter is not coming, he can wait the whole day and nothing's going to happen. Okay. This reminds me of a time some time back when my son had to be admitted to hospital for COVID-19. Not COVID-19, sorry. He had to be admitted to hospital for dengue case. Yeah. It was so unfortunate. He had to be admitted to hospital. My wife, she was actually taking him there. She was thinking of registering him and getting things all done. But unfortunately, there was the case about getting the insurance done. She provided insurance information to the hospital, and she was sitting there waiting for them for an hour. Then 2 hours passed by, nothing happened yet. She went back to the counter, the reception there, to ask them what's happening. And guess what? The reception didn't know what's happening. They didn't even find out, they didn't follow up with what's happening. So she had to contact her insurance again to find out and see what's happening, and they said they never received anything from the hospital. Or rather, they actually sent something to the hospital, but the hospital never received anything. Yeah, so you see the importance of this collaboration. If they had only the hospital and the insurance had spoken earlier on, or updated each other about issues or the delay or being suspicious of this, things could have gone faster. But instead, in the hospital, she had to wait at the counter there for approval for almost 10 hours. Yes, almost 10 hours from hospital. And this is a private hospital, mind you. Just imagine. Yeah. So it was only after the last few hours that there was more communication, and only then they could actually find a way how to resolve this issue of the insurance claims. Yeah, so that's why collaboration, communication is very important. Right? So now, collaborating and communicating is the key part of the project. It's when everything starts action, taking all the plans, going to actions and all that. Okay? We call this putting the plans into motion. Key here is project manager has an important role to make sure that he maintains control and communicating through the different channels. So let's go back to the picture of us trying to paint the room. My project manager, that's her assistant. Yeah. She's trying to get all these things started. She's got to go and speak to the people who's providing the paint to make sure that they have the correct paint code, and whether they can deliver the correct required amount on time. So she has to check that. Then she also has to make sure she can communicate regularly with the painters. If any one day, if the painter suddenly decided that he's not well, she should know it instantly and update her plan accordingly. Yeah, so this is part of maintaining control and communicating. So one way of doing it is that she may want to take daily calls to the painter. Painter, are you done? But before she will reach the painter, she may need to speak to the person who's clearing out the furniture, taping all the things on. And that was our friend Jack, who's going to help with all those things. Yeah, so Jack is going to paste stickers all over the place, clear up the floor, take out everything out from the room. Just communicate with him to make sure that he's getting the things done correctly. So different channels, in other words, means that she could be using phone. She could go through meetings with them, sit down, discussion, go down to coffee shop, sit down, discuss with them. Right, so there's the different channels. Another way here, like these days, we have something like WhatsApp, we have something like Telegram. You can use all those medias to be able to keep you updated. You can actually have all this information updated through those channels. Next, measuring performance and compare against accepted criteria. So, this project manager will have to be able to decide what is the measurement for performance. Yeah, so for example, we wanted to start painting the room, right? We wanted them to clear everything out. So the performance is what? The person, Jack, so who's supposed to clear the place, needs to be able to do it within a particular amount of time, and to make sure that nothing is broken, and to make sure that everything that is moved out is labeled so that he knows how to put it back again. Other performance that you might need to have is make sure that the code that you have is the correct paint code, and during the painting they need to be able to paint 3 layers, example, and each layer they need to have a certain amount of time to let it dry before the next layer. She wants to have good paint quality, because if you have 3 layers to her, the paint will last you for many years. And if you've got 3 layers but you keep on painting 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers on the spot, it's of no use. You have to leave 1 layer dry for 4 hours, paint the next layer, dry for 4 hours, then paint the next layer and dry for 4 hours. She knows it cannot be done within the day. So she knows that it is going to be split between several days. Okay? And compare against accepted criteria. So that's the accepted criteria. Okay, to her, no paint must touch on the floor, because this is all carpet in my house. I don't want to see carpet with paint. And I don't want to see all these furnitures and all that with paint on it. So that is my criteria. Another criteria I could also place is the paint must be evenly painted. I don't want to see one patch here, one patch here, one patch there. Yeah, so those are examples of criteria. Updating plans on a regular basis, project manager will have to speak to them to say, oh, is this okay or not? Okay or not? Yes. he will update his timeline, his plan. Problem is what? What if a person got sick? The painter is sick. Then you have to update his plan to see what else I'm going to do. Why is that important? Because remember I was telling you, she has to achieve all this painting done before Chinese New Year. Right? So she has to make sure that she has all the plans, what she's going to do if these things happen and all that. Just make sure that everything is done by Chinese New Year, before Chinese New Year. Okay? So those are the examples that we have for the painters. Okay, any questions? Okay, good. 36 minutes. 36 minutes. Okay, now let's go to the next part here. Leading the way out or finalize. Finalizing a project is very important because it tells us that the project is done, whether it's successful or delayed. Right, so that's how we decide on the project. Releasing the final deliverables. So in other words, that the final deliverables is the room is painted. In our case here, the furniture are already placed back in place. Right? That is the final deliverable for our case here. So you must be able to release it. Yeah? Handing over project documentation to the business. If it's an organization, then all this documentation that the project managers have been preparing must be handed over back to the company. To say, okay, this is all done, here's the documentation to show you, including the cost and all that. Communicating the closure to all stakeholders. So in our painting example, here's this. Project manager need to tell Jack that yes, you managed to put in everything there, your task is done. You took out the furniture, now you put it back all inside, everything, all the tapes all removed, everything all fine. His task is done. Painter, beforehand, project manager would have told the painter, oh, okay, all these things all painted already, huh? Nothing, no extra cost for you. I'm not paying you anything extra anymore because it's all done. Right? You don't want the painter suddenly come back to you and say, oh, I think we have to paint some more this part here. Okay, you don't have that problem anymore. So that's why it's important that you need to communicate to all, and my project manager to come back to me to tell me that come, check and see all done. To just confirm everything done. So project manager will take me, hold my hands, check and see all these things all done, and say, can we confirm it's done? So when the management says that yes, we are done, then that is how we close the project. So once the project is closed, we call it closure, then project managers have a very important task to also identify lessons learned. He has to write down or list down all the things that they learned during this process. Example for our case of the painting of the room is, I may have to mention, this COVID season, there's a risk that painters is COVID positive. That may delay the paintwork. And because COVID positive, all the painters, all brothers, they stay in the same place. You cannot get them to do anything else anymore. So we have to wait for them. And why we have to depend on them? Because we have to pay them a deposit, and they don't finish the work, we lose the deposit, we cannot take other people. Okay, so this type of problems coming into place. So lessons learned are normally things that the project manager will list out that companies must do or be careful of next time when they do this type of project. Okay, let's go to the next example. Remember I was telling you about the teller, the bank teller. They want to implement a new software in all their office, right? So now, this case is here the same thing. For that project itself, they want to have everybody using the new system. Releasing the final deliverables means that every one of the front teller has started using the new software. So when they start using the new software, what is happening then? We need to be able to decide or confirm everybody is using the software. So the project manager will say, okay, old software, stop. Everyone use the new software. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Okay, now, once it's confirmed this, they confirm everybody's using the new software, and they can safely say that everybody knows how to use the new software. This is part of the releasing final deliverables. It's not just new software on everybody's machine, but the bank tellers, they actually know how to use it. Handing over project documentation to the business, then the project manager will put in all the documentation, send over to the bank manager to say that, okay, everybody, this is the staff that they have trained, this is the software which is being run on all these machines. In communicating the closure to all stakeholders, this is the case for the bankers. They will have a meeting to inform everyone this is the project and this is the result and this is what everybody is using now, right? So it's just a short meeting. Then we will also prepare documentation to say the lessons learned. Maybe they get feedback from the bank tellers, you know. If there's any delay in the task, what are the tasks, what are the delays involved? Yeah. So this is portion of the how we do the finalizing of projects. Okay. Now, if we have a look at this, normally in the execute and the finalize is where you will see the word called waterfall project management and agile project management. Right? In the execute and finalize stage, they will have something called waterfall and agile. So organizations like Project Management Institute and Prince 2, those certifications will be able to prepare people with standard terms to do the execute and standard terms to do the finalize of the project. So that's why every time when you see project management and all that, certification is normally people who are able to do those two portions. Now, we have a look at the next portion. We come to the Q&A portion of this. Before we do any of these activities, these are our activities. Any questions now for you that you would like to answer, me to answer? More minutes, man. We've got 15 more minutes before our lunch break. Yeah?
Okay. From my initial project of building the community bridge.
Right.
Okay. The point of collaborating and communicating execute. Can you explain more how does it relate to this measuring performance and compare against accepted criteria?
Okay. Now, in the case where we are going to do the building a community bridge, yeah, one of the main thing is this: community bridge are things which is projects which is going to involve the land people, the agencies, the government departments and all that. Yeah, so one of the examples is you may need to get permit to do the building, permit to build the bridge, your architecture, diagram permits, right? There's a whole bunch of that. Normally you have to go to the local council and the building to get all those permits. So those are the things that come into the picture. Then they will tell you, or they will be able to give you what are the specs that is okay. For example, if you're going to build a bridge where you can support 100%, 1,000 days of up and down running, they will have a certain stress that is required. So there is a calculation. They will have a program called AutoCAD, where you can plug in all this information and he will tell you the stress for the bridge that's required. Yeah, so that's one of the area. So another area is that we may need to be able to communicate with these agencies to say that I want to get this permit. Then the agencies will list out for you the list of things that you need to provide them. Okay? For example, drainage and irrigation. They don't want you to start building a bridge and after that cause a landslide in the places. They don't want you to build a bridge where after a few times you use, one side will collapse. Yeah? They don't want you to build a bridge where nobody is going to use. Why? Because the other side is not connected to people who can access the bridge. Right? So those are the example of it. So when you communicate with them, you communicate with people there, do they really need this bridge? Then you can actually establish the quality and the permits that's required to build a bridge. So those are the things that we look at normally for communicating or executing. So another area here is the builders itself. You may need to see that are you also involved in the environmental friendly culture. That means that are you going to destroy a lot of things in order to build a bridge, or you don't have to destroy anything to build a bridge. Yes, with minimal impact to the environment. So at the end of the day, some people will tell you, oh, the workers who are building the bridge, maybe you treat them badly. When you hire the workers, your mando who's taking care of all the workers, or might be putting the workers in a small slave camp. Is it acceptable to you? When people come out saying, oh, these people never feed them, nothing, force them, and they beat them to go and build the bridge and all that. Another issue. So you also have to make sure that it's a responsible person who's going to provide you with the workers and the contractors. So there's a communication, the people, the time, the resources, the permits and all that. Yeah, so that's where it's important in the planning execution stage. Okay, another area is the police or local councils. You need to make sure that they are also aware of all those things. Some things you just have to be out of courtesy to inform people. For example, the police, they don't really need to know anything of this. But because you would like to make sure that the police are aware of this, so that if there's any issue with the bridge, they know that you are the person in contact, they understand what is the situation. Yeah, so the police are also another area that you would actually look at. So now, thank you, that's a good question. From here, I'll give you an activity. This activity here, I would like to break it up into 3 parts. Okay. Based on the project example that you have, try to identify what are the activities that will take place in the initiation phase of your project. Right? Just try to list out about maybe 5 or 6 that you can think about. Right? Just take a few minutes to think about it. We'll go through the second and the third one, the short one. Okay, we've got about 12 more minutes before our lunch break. Yeah? Just take about 1-2 minutes to do this first part. Very good, yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah, those are very good points.
Initiative, is it something identify who are using, how frequent they are using it?
Yes, yes. Remember, the initiation phase is to decide whether the project proceeds or not. Yes, you must have the justification to say, yes, I'll proceed with the project. That's where the initiation phase is important.
How to use feasibility study?
Feasibility study is to decide, is to have a study to say whether it can be done. Let's look at the example of painting a room. When we do the painting, we wanted to have the room prepared for our relative before this Chinese New Year. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I want to get new aircon, I want to get new furniture, I want to get the things all painted. So feasibility study, I would have listed out all those things. Then I see, okay, which one can be done. From that feasibility study, I will come up and say, oh, I can only do painting because that's all my budget is. Right, so that's the feasibility study. So I will put in everything I want to do and determine what is it actually that I can do with this TCQ. Okay, this is still fine for your initiation phase. Now we go on to next activity here, where we look at the execute phase. Let's list out about 3 items that you can think for your particular project on the execute phase. What do you think you will do during the execute phase? 3 or 4 items. Remember, the main thing for execute phase means that you're taking your plan and moving it into motion. That means taking the plans and doing something about it at the time. Yeah? So 3 or 4 items that you think for your particular project activities, how is it going to look like? In some large organizations, when they execute phase, it will involve regular weekly meetings with everyone for their updates. Yeah, some people, for this portion here, they will have regular sub-committee meetings. So each sub-committee must have a meeting every week. At the end of the month, they have the meeting with the steering committee. Steering committee will be those people involved in the management. The sub-committees are all the small groups of people doing small activities. They will report back to the steering committee. Steering committee will be the one controlling, do we keep the project going or do we cancel the project? Or do we add in money for the project? Or do we provide more time? Or we change the quality of the project? Right, so that's what we call a steering committee. Okay, we'll find that part there now. That is on the execute phase. Now, the third item, list an example of communication type in the third life cycle. What is the third life cycle? Remember, I'm giving you the life cycle, right? So what's life cycle? The third part of the life cycle. Initiation, then planning, and followed by execute. So in execute, list some 3 examples of communication type that you can think about. So how, in the case of example of bank teller, how are they communicating for their training to use the new system? For the paint work, how do they do communicating between the project manager and painters and the movers and the project and the owner? Okay. A few minutes to do that.
Communication type in the third life cycle is
Example?
like meeting also.
Meeting, yes. What else?
Meeting,
You can actually be
phone calls,
phone calls and
emails.
emails. Yes, those are communication types. Right. So project manager may have to record all these things all because in future if it needs proof or evidence, all those things needs to record them out. Okay. So very good for this part here. We've given this. I will give you an assignment later on. Like in the first module 1, there was a short assignment. Here we do the next assignment in a short while. In conclusion for this module, a project life cycle provides a systematic way to approach project management. And this project life cycle starts from your initiation, which means that at the point you decide when to cancel the project if it's not okay. Then we went to, if it goes on, we go to planning. We try to identify all the resources, and one of the important thing is the documentation, the timeline and all that. Once all that is ready, then we go to the next phase. What's the next phase? Execute. Alright? So that's the third phase. So we're being systematic. So execute means we just doing everything until it finish. And when we go to the finalized phase, what do we do? Finalized phase, we deliver what we have agreed on. That is the finalized phase. So finalized phase is important. Why? Because it means that whatever we wanted in a project, there we tell them, here it is. And we hand over all the documentation of all the costings and all that. Right? So this is why I say that every project life cycle basis is 4. So popular organizations, project management institute, PMP, Prince2, and all those large organizations that does project standards, they will use the same life cycle, but they may break it up in many terms of their own. Yeah, but typically they come to these 4 phases. For further reading, you can actually have a look at this. This is a very good book, right? Project Management All-in-One Dummies. Right? It's one of the more popular books for fresh grads and those people who are suddenly finding themselves to become project manager. Okay, so why is this one of the popular books? Is because it's easy to read, and if suddenly I'm not a project manager, I'm just one of those bank tellers, suddenly I say, oh, now you're a project manager to make sure that everybody start using the new software. Right? So I need to be able to do, when I say it's a project, you need to have a project management plan, then I know what is the things I need to prepare. Okay, there's another document known as Last Things First. right, by Queenie Lee. Okay, he's a PMP, project management professional. Okay, it gives you his take on how to handle project management. Then we also have project management crash course. Okay, this is by Intro Books. So these are books which will introduce to you the life cycle of project management. Yeah, so now we've come to this part here. There's an assignment that you have to complete before going for lunch. Once you complete the assignment, then you can go for your lunch. Now, based on your notes here at page number 15, where you have the reference pages and all that. Okay. In the reference pages here, down here is your assignment. Okay. The assignment is to mention what kind of documents, based on all this life cycle, each life cycle, what kind of documents can you see that you need to prepare in order to provide to the owners. Okay, so that means what document you might have to have prepared for what's the first phase? Initiation. What's the documents that you need to prepare for the planning? And what are the documents you need to prepare for execution? And the last one, what are documentations that you need for finalize? So just list up those few items. Right, take 10 minutes to do that. Those of you who are done, you may go for your lunch break, and I'll see you back after lunch later. Any questions that you have, please feel free to ask. But you got 10 minutes to do this before we end for lunch. Okay, so I leave you to this first. Any questions can ask.
Do we need to follow any certain format for documenting the plan?
That's a good question. The reason why we have documentation is this. One is, if you're doing things on your own, you just make sure that you have the documentation that covers for those 4 phases. Okay. Those people who are doing PMP or prints, they will have specialized formats and terms and documents that they need to utilize. Yes, they do have. And so when we go for the initiation phase, for example, one of the main things is something called project initiation mode, a PIN. Right? The PIN is important. Why? It tells you that who will be the project manager, what are the resources, and what is the objective of the project. So that's for project initiation. Then for the planning, we've got a few sets of documents. One of it is the costing. Another one is your Gantt chart. You need to show a timeline, when does it start, when is it going to end, with all the resources. Resources means that this thing, who will be doing it. Okay, so who will be doing it, so that we get an idea about how to control the time, the quality, and the cost. Execution. Execution is normally taking your timeline, your Gantt chart, and updating it periodically. Your meeting minutes, recording your meeting minutes. You have expenditures, all those expenditures, you buy things, return things and all that. All those things, you have to record them. Okay, so those are the things in your execute. There are many things in execute. You may also have something called a work breakdown structure, which you will see at another time. It will say that one sub-activity to complete. Subtask, so you have to mention that this subtask is completed. The finalized portion of it will have a project closure document. So the project closure document typically will say that what is the deliverable, and you get a sign or signature from the project owners. So they will sign off saying, oh yes, okay, it's done, finished. Make payment to everybody. All these things are. Yeah, so that one is what. That's where you get people coming in. Okay. That's where you get people coming in with information about how to, what are the deliverables that we want to have and all that. Yeah, so another very important for finalize actually is also known as the. Remember, after all those things that we've done, finalize, one important thing that is important is what? There's a document known as LL, lessons learned. Okay, so that lesson learned, although it's not a requirement, but it's as a project manager, professional project manager, they will prepare that to say that this project completed, but during this project, this is what we learned. Okay, Jack is a very reliable person. You ask him to clear the things and put back, he will clear it off and put it back exactly as what you have asked him. So lesson learned is Jack is a good mover. Right? The painters, lesson learned is this painter, they're all from the same family. One person sick, all sick at the same time after that. No work can get done. Very high risk. You may need to think about another painter. Okay? So those are the things that come to the picture. Okay? So take time to complete your second assignment. Okay? And I think that's it for the day. If you have no other questions, go for your lunch and we will meet you back after lunch for module 3 report. Thank you very much everybody.